Hello everybody. On the table today we have Collector Knives Slim Barlow. First and foremost, I'd like to say thank you to Collector Knives for sending me this knife. It is a prototype. I'm the only person that I know of that's been able to get my hands on one to do one of these. So again, I am very thankful. So before we get into this guerrilla review, first off, like all of Collector Knives, they send you this nice little leather pocket sleeve. It's very well made, very well finished, and I think it's a nice little touch. Now this knife may look familiar to those of you in the knife world. It is also identical almost to the Collector Knives Roundhead. The two big differences in these knives are the handle materials and just the handle itself. You have carbon fiber and titanium on this particular one. You could get other materials, stag, wood, etc. What they did on this knife was just make this all one single piece of titanium, which I really like. The other thing you can tell is how thick these knives are, and that's why this knife's called a Slim Barlow. You can see right here just how much of a difference there really is. Now I'm not going to bore everybody with an in-depth measuring segment, so closed. The Slim Barlow is 3.74 inches, open 6.66. The thickness, this way, 0.67. The width is 0.36. Has a blade of 2.92 inches with a cutting edge of 2.64. Now, another way that this knife is different than the Roundhead is the weight. The Slim weighs 1.9 ounces, while the Roundhead is 2.2 ounces. Now, that's not a huge weight savings, but it's enough to be significant in the pocket, and that's what I've noticed about this knife between the two. I'm not real big on a knife that creates a huge footprint in my pocket. In other words, if I drop a knife in my pocket, I don't want it bulging out so that it's just painfully obvious that I have a knife in my pocket, and this knife doesn't have that issue whatsoever. Now, the other thing I need to be upfront about also is that this is not a finished knife. What I mean by that is there is no cutting edge on this knife whatsoever because it's a prototype. But I was still able to open boxes, open mail, and just generally get a feel for the knife on how it carries. And having owned the Roundhead, I already knew, or I should say I already know what the blade will be like, and I have no issues in that department whatsoever. Some of the things that I hope they address if this knife goes into production is, if you notice, okay, on this side you have the very nice presentation pivot. I mean, I like that. They could have just put a simple disc pivot on there, but they went this route and I like it. They also put Torx on this side, so, and I like that. They didn't go crazy with billboarding. It's just simple. It says Line Steel Collector Knives, and then it has the blade material. If you look on the reverse, there's absolutely nothing. They kept the nice little pivot, but they put pins on this side, okay? And I get that because, you know, when you got to have something for those Torx to screw into. But I'm hoping that they can figure a way out in production to put Torx on both sides, because I'll let you take a look. That's that side with just the pins. And then if you turn it around and you look at this side of the presentation with the Torx, I think it just looks better. I'll let you get a better look right here. If you look, I mean, it's just kind of, I think it just looks better. The other neat thing they did on this, well, I think they're playing around trying to figure out exactly what they want. So this side is shallower on the milling, whereas this side is a little bit deeper. I prefer the little bit deeper just because it's just gives you something to grab a hold of, it, a little bit better grip. The other thing I like is just the sound this thing makes when it opens and closes. It's distinctly different between the Roundhead. And the reason that it sounds that way is because they've actually milled out inside the handle. I'm probably going to blow the camera out with this light, but let's get a look down in here and see if we can't actually see. You can see in there where they've actually milled this out. There it goes. They've just milled little sections out inside there to help reduce the weight. And that kind of gives it that enjoyable metallic locking sound that I just like. I mean, it's just, I don't know, I just like that. The other thing that with this knife, they are handmade. Every time one of these prototypes is made, it is handmade. So there's not going to be a perfection to it. And if you look right back here, everything is perfect on fit and finish until you get right back here, and then you can hear it as well as feel it. Now I'm sure they'll address that in production, because if over here on the round head, you don't have that issue. So I'm sure they'll address that when it comes production time. Would I buy this knife? Oh, yes, I would. I've tried to pick Collector Knives' brain a little bit, but they won't say yay or nay whether they're going to produce this knife. I'm really hoping they do. I think it's going to be a very good seller, and I think people are going to be very pleased with it on just how thin this knife is and how well it carries. Before I go, real quick, standard size comparison. Let's see. Here is a Sodbuster Jr. compared with the Barlow, Slim Barlow, I should say. The overall thicknesses on these knives, this is the Persimmon Stag. They're pretty comparable. And I mean, this is a very comfortable knife to carry in pocket. So anyway, I'm the Wandering Waterman. I hope you enjoyed my first guerrilla review of a knife that no one has.